Good afternoon, Jamari from Precision Axe. I actually had the pleasure of breaking bread with a great mentor of mine. His career actually started in 1985 in the Midlands, and it's my pleasure to introduce Mike Baker. Great to see you, sir.
It is an honor, sir.
Well, basically, we're just going to talk about retirement and longevity in law enforcement. He has a career that dates back to 1985, and just want to ask a few questions about longevity and retirement.
Okay.
So, can you tell us a little bit about how your career started?
I started with the Columbia Police Department in 1985 as a police cadet. I stayed with Columbia the majority of my career. I worked at Lexington County for a short period of time and went back to the city. And from there, I retired from the Columbia Police Department's training unit, and I went to work for the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy as an instructor. I taught in the police science unit for a while, and then I was assigned to the driving range, and then eventually to the firearms range, where I was responsible for the rifle program, both the patrol rifle and precision rifle, and responsible for the firearms instructor program. And retired formally from law enforcement from there, finally.
Gotcha. Long career. Thank you. Would you have any suggestions for new officers on making it, having longevity in the career field that's so demanding?
The best advice I can give is patience. And I mean all facets of patience, not just be patient, you know, that this promotion is going to come through or I'm going to get a new car or something along those lines. But when you're talking about it, actually being patient in all aspects. Everything from you're going to be patient before you walk up on that car. You're going to be patient before you walk up on that door. You're going to be patient waiting for your time to come for your promotion. If you don't, then it's just going to burn you up. You've got to find what you want to do, and that takes time. So you have to be patient. You can't just walk in the door and say, oh, this is great, or this is not what I want to do. It takes time like anything else. So you've got to get yourself in the door, get yourself established, find a niche that you want to get into, and then you start moving toward it and you start working it. And this all takes time, but unfortunately a lot of people, they don't have the patience for it. There's not an immediate gratification, because it's not an immediate process. And because it's not an immediate gratification or an immediate process, they're just like, it's not for me, want to go someplace else. It was bad enough, or I should say bad enough, it was hard enough making 25 years. It really was, because by the time I got to my 25-year mark, I was physically tired, physically run down. To go further, like I said, I had to find something that I really enjoyed doing. And it took me that long to find it. So again, whereas, and anybody that deals with me in my personal life will tell you, I am not the most patient person in my personal life. Professionally, I have been as patient as I could be, and it served me. I also, I learned my lessons in my youth. What's the outcome of not being patient? Jumping too quick. Not thinking and jumping, as opposed to thinking it out and waiting, giving it a little bit of time before I actually made a decision. And I lost out on things. I'll be the first to tell anybody the mistakes that I made. I would, they were so simple and so stupid that I wouldn't wish them on anybody. And they cost me. They cost me time. They cost me possibly upward mobility at any of the agencies that I work for. It was, sometimes there's a little cross connection there, that this works a little bit too much and this doesn't. So again, if you're going to last now 27 or over 27, you've got to be patient. You've got to keep yourself safe. You've got to keep yourself trained. You've got to keep yourself a valuable commodity so you can still be a player in the game. And you have got to be patient. You have got to think before you act. You've got to wait your time. Because one of the things that a lot of new people don't take into consideration is that there are whole generations already there that are wanting to move up, move forward, advance, and whatever. And it's not just them. So again, you've got to wait your time. You wait for your time. You perfect your craft, and then you make your move. You don't just, hey, I'm here. I showed up today. I wore my uniform. Do I get a prize? Are you going to promote me right this second? Are you going to give me this? Or are you give me that? They don't owe you anything. If you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, all contractual agreements have been met. So the thing is, you have to be a valuable commodity. You have to give them back something. And it's not just workload, it's just quality, professionalism, the whole 9 yards. That will serve somebody a lot further. It'll also make you more mobile. If, say, your burning desire is canine, your burning desire is SWAT or SRT or investigations or narcotics or something like that, you showing them that you're taking time, you're taking extra effort to perfect that craft, that's going to serve you, as opposed to just saying, I'm here, I put underwear on today, give me what I want, because that's not the case. And again, there are generations of people, quality people, that were there before them. So again, just be patient, be smart. Don't burn yourself out, but you want to, while you've got the energy and you've got the time and you've got the youth, you want to push it. You really have to, and you want to perfect it. Never give up on your training. Never stop training. There is no time ever that I could say in my career that I was done training, because I would learn something new from just about anybody that I had talked to on a daily basis. And some people, well, for what I do, I don't need to train this hard. Yes, you do. The world is changing every single second. It's getting sometimes, and unfortunately, worse every single second. And if you don't prepare for that, then you're going to get left behind. And unfortunately, the penalty for being left behind in something like that is you get hurt or you get somebody else hurt. And nobody wants that. And you're not going to last. Medically retiring is not retiring. I would want somebody, they come in the door and they go out the door like, thanks, love you, mean it. I did my time. Not, I destroyed my knee and now I have to retire. Something like that. That doesn't serve, because then what do you do after?
Exactly.
That's a problem. And a lot of people they have blinders on, thinking, all right, this is all I'm going to do. Have a plan, be patient, but have a plan. What am I going to do after? And you've got to have a goal. You can't just go into it every single day thinking, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get a paycheck, that's all I need. You need more.
Got it.
You've got to have a goal. You've got to keep your family in mind. Because at the end of the day, whereas it's all fun and games and everybody's out on the road, and I'm all about the esprit de corps that a shift builds, and these people are your backup and you're theirs. End of the day, when you get home, family is there. They're not. And they are the more important. Family is the more important. Because when it is all over, if you make it to that point, then you've still got them there. So.
Exactly. All perfect points. Makes a lot of sense. With that being said, with the word I really picked up on was training. Since you were a firearms instructor for a long time out of your career, what's one pitfall or area that you see people failing the most that they need to practice before they actually come to a person in your position?
It's an excellent question. Grip strength.
Okay.
That is a problem. And I'm not saying that you've got to do 1,000 push-ups. I'm not saying that you have to hit the gym, every single day and you've got to do 50,000 wrist curls or something like that. If you know that you are going to have to go to a place and you're going to have to shoot a gun for a lot of time and it's a lot of pulling the trigger and you're not used to it, then you need to prepare for it ahead of time. One of the biggest problems that I saw on any of the ranges that I worked on over the years was people not having the longevity, the grip strength to finish. And then that weakens their confidence. Their confidence gets weakened. They start to block everything out. They're not paying attention anymore. Because if you think about it, shooting is such a simple process. Everybody makes, such voodoo out of this, that there's this secret formula, that's passed on from high, and it's not. You line up two pieces of metal and you push a button. That's it. That's shooting. So, what are the things that really affect it? Grip and obviously, how much you practice. And what I mean by that is when it comes right down to shooting at something, at that 1/1,000,000th of a second when that trigger is being pulled, it's no longer a matter of the target. Your focus should be on the sights and your trigger press. It's, the way that I would explain it if to a person, God forbid that they actually have to do this in real life. But if somebody were going to have to shoot a person, you should already know that you have the legal justification to do so. You should already have the ability, opportunity, and jeopardy. You should already be in good legal standing. At that point, if it is justified, then what should be left is sight alignment and trigger control. And that's it. There is nothing else more important in the universe in that 1/1,000,000th of a second of disconnecting from everything else and paying attention to those sights and that trigger. Herein lies the problem. Lack of practice, as well as I do, as excellent a shot as you are, that without practice, that goes away. That's number one. Poor preparation, poor mindset. Again, the poor preparation leading back to grip strength. If I can't pull the trigger effectively constantly, then that's going to affect everything else that I do. But that's the biggest fault that I've seen over the years, that you could attribute everything else. Like I said, if you explain it to somebody, again, if you break it down to those simple terms, rear sight, front sight, okay, how hard a concept is that? And I'm going to press the trigger, keeping those sights lined up. It is rocket science, but you're not teaching them the mathematics of it. But it's simple. So what are the other things? What are the other factors? They're the disconnect between I can just do this and keep those sights lined up. That doesn't work, but you can explain that out of them. At that point, what it boils down to is, can I sit there? Can I hold that weapon? Can I pull the trigger effectively? And that's a lot of what I have seen over the years.
Oh, okay.
So if you're going to have to go interdepartmental or to academy or a course or something like that, prepare. How do you prepare for a match? I would put it to you the same way. You don't just, pull your guns out, make sure everything's, your optics are set.
It's a lot more.
Exactly. There's preparation for it. So until you get over the shock of, pull the trigger, it goes bang real loud and rattles in my hand, because that's all it does, you've got to prepare yourself.
Exactly. I'm sure you could probably tell people that are really comfortable when they're on the range. You can see the confidence because they prepared and they know their craft.
Definitely.
And then the people that...
Those are the ones that, like if you're shooting competition, those are the ones you really worry about. The ones that are out there having a good time because they know that they're prepared. They know that, not saying that, a deadly force situation is a good time, but being able to perform under that kind of stress, and seeing how calmly they are doing it, that makes all the difference in the world. That's intimidating in itself. So think about, somebody could think about that. If I look like I know what I'm doing, then probably I know what I'm doing. If I don't look like I know what I'm doing, that leaves a door open for somebody to exploit.
Exactly. And also, I guess with the same question in mind for the trainers, since it's a new generation and new mindset, what suggestions would you give to trainers on how to train the new generations that are coming?
You have to know your audience first. You have to know who you're dealing with. I'm not saying that you have to have a complete physical dossier on every student that you have, but generationally, and there are generational considerations that as an instructor you have to take. You have to look at them and just know in your head, if it is a younger generation, they are not going to respond the same way that, say, you or I did when we were coming up. Mine different from yours different from theirs, so on and so forth. So as an instructor, you've got a choice. You can either ram it down their throats and mandate, you will do it my way or the highway, and you will get limited results, or you can find a way to get through to that group. You may not like what they're doing. You may not like the fact that they are questioning everything all the time, or they are sitting there checking every bit of information that you're giving out. But, if we had these tools and these things and these options back when we were coming up, we would have done the same things. So you can't fault them for that. You can't hold it against them that they're different and they do things differently. If you do, then like I said, you're not going to be as effective. You've got to find a way. You've got to understand, excuse me, that this generation does not really respond well to authority figures. Maybe they didn't have them. I don't know what the case is. There are universities that have done whole studies on teaching this group of people. So that's how different it is. But they don't respond the same way that we do. So you've got, as an instructor, it's their responsibility, the instructor's responsibility, to find the way to get through them. That's what you're supposed to do. Not, I'm going to vomit this out and y'all scoop it up. It's, I'm going to give you what you need. As you know, if you're really worth your salt, I'm going to give you what you need. I'm going to prepare it. I'm going to research it. I'm going to give it to you 7 different ways. I'm going to let you touch it, taste it, rub it on yourself, the whole 9 yards. And then it's up to you, because I've met my obligation. My obligation is to generate it, to present it, to make sure it's factual, to make sure it's good information. And then your responsibility is to take it and run with it. So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, it's up to you. And from that point on, and then, you know, that's the whole checks and balance thing. If I do what I'm supposed to do, that takes the responsibility off my shoulders. Which that's, you have to think about these things. And it puts it back where it belongs. It belongs on the student if the instructor is doing what they're supposed to do. And too many times, and I've said this in other instructor classes, over the years, say the past 15 years, the pendulum has kind of swung back the other way, where instructors are being held more accountable for things that they really shouldn't be held accountable for. And this is a personal opinion. This is, I mean, my own business, so I can make up my opinion. But basically, it's, why did this person fail? Why isn't this person progressing? Why isn't this person doing this? Well, because they're not picking it up and running with it, as long as the instructor has done and met their responsibility. As long as they've given them as much as they can possibly give in a manner that they can understand and relate to. And giving them handouts, giving them, you know, if it takes crayons and sock puppets up in front of the class, whatever it takes. So that instructor can say, I have done everything I can possibly do. It's up to them, and the responsibility should be put back on them. But again, that pendulum has kind of swung back the other way, where it's, you know, chief sheriffs and administrators I've seen and heard of in the past are asking, well, why isn't this happening? Why aren't you doing this? Why are these people why are my qual scores so low? This, that, or the other. And my thing is, if the instructor is doing what they're supposed to do, then the immediate answer should be, because the student didn't do what they were supposed to do. And there's no mandate for them. And then that opens up a whole nother conversation, but you see where I'm going with it.
Exactly. You only have them for 8 hours, maybe less, depending on lunch break.
Exactly.
So they have to come prepared, and when they go home, they have to study the materials that you give them. So it's, you learn it, it's their turn.
And we can't, you know, unless you're living with them, you can't. You can't force it down their throats. And again, that's not going to work. No, it just,
exactly.
You know, and there are some that say, and as we were discussing, you know, people coming from the military, they have a better understanding of structure, discipline, the difference between discipline and punishment. And there is a huge difference. And they understand this. People that don't have a military background don't necessarily understand the difference between discipline and punishment. They just see it as punishment. If I am barking at you, even though it may be in your best interest, excuse me, they don't get it. Or if I'm telling you to go do something immediately because it's in your best interest, it is long term, it is for your safety, they don't necessarily understand it, so they question it because they're taking it as it's a punishment for some bad behavior. It's not. There's nothing wrong with not knowing something. There's something wrong with, after being instructed, still not knowing it, maybe not asking a question. You know, as long as it was presented in a really good, understandable, digestible format, then, you know, there's no excuse for not understanding.
Exactly. Great points. Well, with all that being said, what are you up to these days? I see you're wearing a shirt. Can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, working today. My company is Law Enforcement Training Media, and the name's just a little bit misleading, but those that have, if you go to the website, you'll understand basically what it is. I did several tours in the training unit of my department. I was an instructor out at the academy. And during those times, I was responsible for generating videos, graphics, things like that for presentations and things like that. And obviously things have progressed greatly nowadays. But the biggest problem that I had in trying to again, do what I was supposed to do, find something that was going to reach my students, and that's mine, brand it from my department, the whole 9 yards. The problem that I had was finding decent graphics, decent videos. I could pull something off of YouTube, that's kind of illegal. No matter how you get around, or you try and get around it, it's illegal. Or I could pull some kind of image off of the internet, it's not my image. And most of the time, and this is what always got me, it was either the British Bobby with a club, or it was Fat Cop eating a donut, looks like it's off of a cartoon.
Not many options.
Exactly. So my thing was, you know, I have a background, not a long time, but I have a background in video editing and motion graphics, and I've been doing work professionally for the last few years. And I thought putting the two of them together, you know, I understand what a trainer needs because I was there. I understand they're not going to have a big budget if they have a budget at all. I understand that they're wanting to brand their stuff, and that was something, again, we talked about. I hated going into training classes at my department and seeing somebody else's logo up on the screen. Why can't we have our own stuff? Excuse me. Why should I buy into this when that's somebody else's? You didn't even take the time to change it. Things like that. But not trying to reinvent the wheel, but if, say, an agency or individual, because we do the same thing, we've done work for people that do CWP classes or do private driving lessons, things like that. If you need something for a presentation, we'll generate it for you. If you want us just to edit your video, we can do that too. We can customize graphics. We can do website design. We can do social media management, both on front end and back end. And basically it's for somebody that needs something specific to law enforcement or in that genre, you know, firearms, driving, something like that. But they don't want to go to the internet and get junk. We're talking about, these are all royalty-free images that would be used, royalty-free music if that's what the person wanted. And more importantly, if it was something you already had and you just wanted it filmed, then it's yours, your people, your brand doing the work. So again, it's not reinvention of the wheel. And I've got a group of people, other retirees, some that are still working, that if it's a matter of, well, I don't have enough people at my agency to fill the cast, we'll come out and we'll film it for you. You're still your brand, your people, your production.
That's great. It definitely sounds like that come in handy for agencies that don't have an in-house media or trainers that are not technical. I guess you would say inclined.
Geeks.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but
it is. I wear it proudly.
I'm
it's
not
putting food on my table. I'm a geek.
Exactly. That's an important facet to cover and important job to maintain for people. So how can people get in contact with you if they need that media service? If
anybody wants to they can go to Law Enforcement Training Media.
Okay.
That's our website. You can contact me at mbaker@letraining.media. mbaker@letraining.media.
Perfect. And I'm sure you guys recognize his face. He's been in the Midlands area since 1985, serving and protecting people. So definitely give his business a call if you need that media service. Well, thank you so much for what you've done. And thank you for your mentorship.
Really has.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.